Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Thrasher Opera House Presents, our great podcast here for the Opera House in Green Lake, Wisconsin. And coming up on Friday, February the 21st, we welcome in Arkansauce and being joined by Adam Collins of Arkansauce. How you doing, Adam?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So glad to have you along. I got to ask first question. We've been working on the show, putting it out there, and people are like, "Are you saying this right? Arkansauce?" I'm like, "Yes, it's Arkansauce." Tell me about the name.
That's a common question, and every time it's asked, we're like, we got to come up with a better story than what the actual the story is behind the name. So Ethan and Zach, our mandolin player and guitar player, grew up together down in Lamar, Arkansas, a small town, and they played music together, lived down the street from each other, and they just Ethan, I think, was one day he's like, man, if we ever have a band, we should just call it Arkansas. It's a cool name, and so that's the origin story.
It stuck.
Yeah, and it's honestly really works well for us. I mean, especially a lot of the early albums and music was written about the region that we live in the Ozarks in the northwest corner, and kind of our experiences of kids, growing up at music festivals and the jam grass scene, and just about floating and paddling and being out in the woods, and we're really proud of where we're from and really love this area. And when we started touring nationally, we get people that come out to our shows that are Arkansas natives that just live somewhere else, and they'll say, we've never heard your music before. We just saw the name and wanted to come and hang out
Oh,
with
nice.
some other Arkansanians, and end up connecting with people from our home state, all over. We were played in California last year, and a friend came, or someone came out and was buying merch at the merch table and kind of said that, and we got to talking, and she was from my hometown, and her family, I knew some of her brother, or I knew her
Cool.
brother and her sister, and had actually been over to her house, just she just came to the show because of the name Arkansas. So
We find it, Adams, that even though the world is huge, sometimes it's a small thing too, right? It's unbelievable that can draw in people together like that, which is what it's all really about. So a string quartet with a distinct blend of newgrass is kind of how it describes it. But did you guys always get started in bluegrass? Was that something that you wanted to do, or were you in some other bands before you got into the bluegrass here?
not we weren't into bluegrass. uh, None of us grew up on bluegrass. We
Mhm.
all had very kind of different backgrounds. I, excuse me, grew up as like a classic rock kid. I was listening to Tom Petty, The Doors, Led Zeppelin, and I went to music school and studied classical music, and used to work with orchestras, and kind of did chamber music stuff, and then kind of discovered jazz and was got into played jazz vibraphone. I went to school for that and worked as a jazz vibraphonist for 10 years, and then I got a banjo and kind of started discovering bluegrass and jamgrass and newgrass stuff. So that was my background. As I mentioned, Zach and Ethan, they had Zach was in a metal band, was a vocalist for a metal band. Tom, grew up with some metal, really still is a big fan of Tool, and kind of likes, that stuff. We listen to a lot of hip hop and rap in the van. So it's a pretty diverse background of music that we all have played and listened to and still listen to. And all that stuff comes out in the writing and the arranging. We're none of us grew up in this traditional bluegrass scene. Even after I got into playing banjo, I was listening to Leftover Salmon and Yonder Mountain String Band and these more progressive jamgrass stuff, and I didn't really even listen to any Earl Scruggs or Del McCurry was kind of my gateway into the more traditional bluegrass scene. But I still love it, and I love the tradition and respect it, but it was very much an afterthought, from all these other genres, even after the band was formed and we were writing and playing, to kind of ironically end up finding traditional bluegrass and studying those song forms and styles and the ways of playing those instruments, getting a little bit more disciplined on understanding those roots and those building blocks, and now that's a part of our sound too. We have a lot of songs and written a lot of songs that are are more in just a traditional bluegrass
Right.
vein. Yeah.
It's interesting because anytime we have a bluegrass, group that kind of joins us here at Thrasher, I'm like, there's a metal guy in there somewhere. I know it, right? I just know it that there's a metal guy living in that band, and it's so true all the time. So it's
Yeah,
really neat to see. But then you also bring in some of the hip hop influences as well. But you said you guys listen to a lot of stuff in the van as you're touring around, and that's kind of like the premises of a lot of your music and a lot of the creation that you guys have with the music that you guys are releasing. Is just hanging out, listening to stuff, and then doing, hey, let's make it this, or let's take a look at this, or write something this way.
for sure. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun that way. I really love it. With the percussion background, I just spent decades doing drumline. I marched with the Razorback marching band for 4 years, and then I taught drumline to junior high and high school for like 10 more years after that.
Mhm.
But just studying percussion in school, always going to these conferences and clinics and studying world percussion and drum set and all these percussive styles and traditions. And then I ended up in a band that doesn't have a drummer. And so it's really fun for me because I the way I write and play is I listen to the whole ensemble and imagine it as a drum set, and each instrument, like the bass is like the kick drum, and the mandolin's like the snare drum, and the guitar is like the tom toms, and kind of like do when I'm making arrangements and writing songs, I'm hearing it as a percussion ensemble.
Right.
Yeah, so
It's so
that's
funny. I know you guys know Hen House Prowlers, and they were here a couple of weeks ago and did a workshop and talked about the exact same thing with a bunch of middle school students here in Green Lake
right.
as well, talking about how this thing is kind of like a percussion set more than anything because you got these different instruments that are doing it. It's really a cool experience. We're talking with Adams Collins from the Arkansauce, which could be performing coming up on February 21st here at Thrasher Opera House. You can get your tickets at www.thrasheroperahouse.com. Now, Adams, I know you guys are headed out on tour here in just a little bit, but you're doing is it the Wintergrass Festival in Colorado? Talk a little bit about that event.
Yeah, Winter Wondergrass is a festival. I believe it started in Steamboat Springs, and now they do it in three different locations. There's, I think, out of Tahoe in California, and there's somewhere out east in the northeast. I believe they do it. I'm not exactly sure, but it's that takes place at ski resort. The one that we're playing is Steamboat Ski Resort, and it's like a festival where you get to ski all day, and then the bands play, and the afternoon into the evening, and so it's this really luxurious kind of thing, and as since it's been going on, I think before I even was really playing much with Arkansas, I'm not exactly sure, but as long as I've been aware of it, it's been a bucket list. Like, what a cool festival just to get to go, and then when we started playing, just dreaming of getting booked on that festival. And so it's really just a dream come true to finally get to play it, because I've lived in Colorado off and on, and grew up going skiing with my family, as did some of the other guys. And when we're on winter tour, sometimes we'll be able to get to go sneak in a ski day somewhere. And yeah, we're just super excited because also the lineup of bands that play are, it's just a really great group of bands to be associated with, to be on those lineups. And a festival like that, it's like everybody wants to play it. it's
Right.
it's just the coolest thing. And so we feel really honored and excited that we got invited to play this year. and yeah, have been really looking forward to it. It's coming up here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we love watching it because we see a lot of Thrasher alums on that lineup out there too, which is always really fun. You talked about kind of the affinity of being with some other colleagues and other great bands and people you respect in the industry. Tell me about this Billy Strings after birthday party bash you guys did.
Yeah, the after party was just last weekend. So obviously, I mean, I'm assuming everybody that's watching this will knows of Billy Strings. If you don't, he's just really taken bluegrass and jamgrass to a whole new level. Our music didn't really exist in arenas. We didn't sell as much tickets to fill up an arena, and not only is Billy in arenas, he's selling them out for several nights,
Right.
which is just phenomenal. And he did 3 nights last weekend in Asheville at an arena that were all sold out, and he's doing 3 nights this weekend in Asheville at the same arena that are all sold out. So 6 sold out shows, really just so amazing. And the shows, I think they have like a sound curfew there that's like 11 o'clock or something. But all around Asheville, they had a couple spots that were having after parties for everybody that went to the show to go and keep the party rolling. And we played at the Asheville Music Hall Saturday night last week. After his show, and it was just sold out. People just packed with people. Everybody's riding high. Had already been listening to 3 hours of jamgrass music, and so didn't no warm up necessary. We just
Yeah.
came out hot and just played all of our up tempo, just shredding, big jams, and it was so fun. The jamgrass community is such a lovely group of people. Just really communal and like to have a good time and friendly. And so it just felt like a big party, and we had such a good time, and we got to play super late. We used to play super late all the time. We'd play
Mhm.
these festival sets sometimes that started at 2 a.m. or something. But I'm 43 now, and my ability to have energy going that late has dwindled. And just the nature of the shows that we've been playing are more of a wrapping up around midnight, 11 or midnight or something. But this show, because it started so late, we played late. We played till almost 2
Wow.
and that's just it was fun to kind of get back into that scene and relive the people that are out and about. It's a different vibe once you cross midnight. It
Yeah.
turns a little bit of a different kind of party. And so it was, yeah, that got to go relive that and get back into that scene and just be wild and crazy. And yeah, it was great.
Well, we're looking forward to you bringing it into the Thrasher Opera House coming up here on Friday, February 21st. Don't let the Opera House fool you. We are here to jam. We are here to rock. There's no problems with that whatsoever. So we invite everybody to come on out and get it. Adams, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you joining us here on the podcast, and we'll see you real soon.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks.